When you think of a £280 phone, you may think of a phone that's pretty basic looking, it may have a low resolution screen, or just a pretty boring design, but that's just not the case with this phone. This is the Vodafone Platinum 7. And shout out to Vodafone for sending me this phone to try out for 2 weeks so I could do this review. So as I said, this phone has a really nice design with glass on both the back and the front, which is a bit slippery but looks great. And it has a metallic rim which joins both pieces together. It kind of looks like what you'd see from an Apple or Samsung phone design wise. First impressions going into this were that it looks really nice to hold and looks premium. On the left is a reprogrammable camera button and a SIM card tray that can hold an SD card, and on the right is the power button and volume controls. The buttons have a hard, gritty feeling on them, which is actually pretty nice. On the bottom is a micro USB port, yes, not USB-C, and a mic, and on the top is a headphone jack and another mic. And on the front are front-facing speakers, a notification light, an 8 megapixel camera that has actual flash, which is actually very unusual on the front. And on the back is a fingerprint sensor, a 16 megapixel camera without optical image stabilization, and again an LED flash. Because of this lack of OIS, photos on the back facing camera do come out a bit shaky if you don't hold the camera still. But when it works well, so in certain situations you can get pretty nice pictures. The front facing camera again is fine, not the best thing ever, but it is good. The flash isn't that bad at all and makes for decent pictures at night. Videos on both cameras look okay, but it isn't great on either. The back facing camera is unsurprisingly better again, but has some focusing issues that required me to manually tap to focus. And the front facing camera had what appears to be a very slow frame rate for some reason. Kind of wish they would have focused on giving it a decent shutter speed, which would have made it a lot less jittery rather than giving the front facing camera QHD video. At night time, the back facing camera actually looks okay minus the focusing issue, but the front does have quite a lot of grain. More importantly than the camera though is the screen. In fact, it looks better than the OnePlus 3T screen, not by much, but I do definitely prefer it. You're not really going to be able to tell the difference between 1080p on phones like the 3T and 1440p on this unless you put your face right up against it. But it will make a difference if you're going into VR, for example. You can see a slight difference with text and curves, but only very, very slightly. Two things that aren't that good about this screen that may bother some people is that it doesn't get that bright or that dark as compared to other phones. But I've always got my brightness down, so it doesn't really bother me that much. The colours do distort slightly when you look at them at pretty extreme angles, but those angles pretty much never happen. And for 99% of the time, the screen's going to look great. It's going to look perfectly fine. The software is very close to stock Android, but it does have quite a few pre-installed Vodafone apps, but they can be uninstalled or disabled, so that's not really a problem. The phone runs very fast, and it never really lags or has any issues at all. I don't really recall having to force quit any apps or anything like that, so it runs pretty well. Talking about quitting apps though, what's up with the clear button positioning? Who thought it would be a good idea to put it there? Other than that though, everything runs smoothly and jumping between apps is nice and fast, and again there's no real lag. As I said, this is very close to stock Android, but one pretty big addition is the customizable lock screen shortcuts. Thing is though that I usually just use the fingerprint sensor to skip the lock screen, but if you don't they may be helpful. It is also still unfortunately on Android Marshmallow though, and there hasn't been a security update since April of 2016, so Vodafone really need to get that up to date soon. One thing that really annoys me about not being on Nougat is that I got used to the smaller DPI, hope that's the right terminology, on the OnePlus 3T. And you just can't change that on Marshmallow. There's also the new notifications and stuff too. Another thing that took a while to get used to is the on-screen buttons, which can be customized if you like the back button on the right like me. I got used to it after a while though, but it is annoying that it takes up extra screen real estate, especially since I can't alter the DPI. Moving on to games, they all run fine, with both Balloon Tower Defense and Asphalt 8 running just fine and looking great, with it only having the occasional stutter here and there. But it's nothing that's going to affect your gameplay in a negative way or anything. If you're planning to play games that are less demanding than that, you should have no issues whatsoever. The hardware can handle it just fine. It also does a really great job of playing music too. The front-facing speakers aren't going to replace any dedicated speakers anytime soon, but they most definitely sound so much better than the mono bottom-facing speakers like the ones on the OnePlus 3T. There's also all the advantages of their placement, that they won't be covered by your hand, and when holding them in portrait, they're just directed towards you instead of away from you. But Vodafone have actually gone a step further though, and have partnered up with Waves Max Audio to have their sound enhancer built right into the phone. The option to modify it is hidden away, but it's there under settings, sound and notifications, then audio enhancements. There you can enable or disable it, adjust the bass, the treble and stuff like that. I actually prefer the dance preset, so I put it on that, but obviously it depends on what your musical preferences are, and you can switch it off if you want to. One thing that isn't customizable though is the LED light. This is pretty disappointing, but I guess it may have been necessary to keep the price down. It's nice and big, but only in white. Coming from the OnePlus 3T that shows different LED colours for different apps and also changes the colour when charging or when full, this was a bit of an inconvenience, but not a deal breaker, just a bit annoying. Kind of like the fingerprint sensor. In my experience it worked most of the time, but not all of the time. The thing is that the OnePlus 3T sensor is so good that it just made this one feel slow, and it annoyed me that extra bit when it didn't work the first time. Don't get me wrong, it's not slow at all, it's just not instant like on the OnePlus 3T. It only takes around a second or so, but I'm just used to it being faster. Same goes for charging. It comes with quick charging 3.0, which does charge the phone nice and fast, but again coming from dash charging it is slower. Also, before wrapping up, I'll just brush over the camera button. I never really used it other than to launch the camera, which could have been assigned to a double press of the power button as it is on the OnePlus 3T. I guess it's good for taking pictures. When I did remember to use it, it did work well, but I just kept forgetting about it and I'm just used to the on-screen buttons at this point. But overall though, this is an extremely good phone. If you're on Vodafone, it is one that you should definitely consider getting if you're on a budget, yet want a really nice phone. Yes, it has a few downsides here and there, but then so do all phones. This phone comes with everything that you can expect from a flagship phone. It's fast, it looks great, it feels great, it sounds great, has a fingerprint sensor, and just feels premium. It doesn't have the best camera out there, but it doesn't have a terrible camera either, and really for £280 you can't really be expecting everything to be that good. But really, those are my thoughts. What are your thoughts on this? Be sure to leave them down in the comments down below, and tell me what you think about the phone based on what you've seen in this review. Also be sure to like this video if you like it, and subscribe to see more reviews that are going to be coming up in the future. So hope you all have a great day. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.